All right, this week's DuhCast is about to get started with myself and James Ellsworth, and this week's guest, hey, playa. That's right, Teddy Long, or Theodore Long, depending how old you are. But before we get started, as always, I want to tell you about Blue Chew. And first and foremost, thank you guys. I'm going to thank you. I don't know how many other podcasts thank you, because without you going to Blue Chew, using the offer code Ellsworth, paying $5 for shipping and handling, and getting your free sample, they would not have kept coming back. You did it. They keep coming back. I think they're signing on for another month or two, and I'm really excited because it helps keep the lights on. So, even if you don't need it, do it for us. It's $5. I'm sure you spent $5, as I stutter my words there, but listen, I'm sure you spent $5 on more crappy things at a gas station. You go to a wrestling show, I can only imagine what you're buying for $5 there. Look, I go to wrestling shows where P.D. Williams sells merch, and he's got these little TNA cards with like pictures of his abs and his muscles. People buy them for $5. This is way better than that because you get to actually use it. And let's just say you're about to start the show. You got the girl on the back. You're about to hit your finishing move, and out comes Teddy Long, and he's like, hey, it's about to be a tag team match. You go, what? And out comes her friend. Now, this ain't going to really happen, but, in this copyright ad, some reason, Teddy Long's hanging around in your bedroom, and you don't even know it, and boom, your like wife or girlfriend's best friend pops out, whatever she's doing in the closet with Teddy Long. I don't even know, but look, it's neither here nor there. I'm trying to sell you on a blue pill that will enhance your talents in the bed, that will make sure you get that clean finish, the 1, 2, 3. She's on the back looking up at the lights, wondering, whoa, what kind of finishing move did he just hit me with? Was it a super kick? Huh? Wink, wink. I don't know. Maybe Joey Ryan taught you something, if you're an indie guy and you know what that means. But let's get into the nuts and bolts of Blue Chew. Look, Blue Chew is the first chewable with the same FDA-approved active ingredients as Viagra and Cialis, so you know it works. You can take it any time or day, night, evening, dusk, dawn, whenever. You can take it on a full or empty stomach. I tell you, I popped it in, took a shower, came out, and boom, it was over with. She tapped out, and I still had some time left on the clock, if you know what that means. I beat the clock and then some. Man, oh man, this is getting bad. Anyways, Blue Chew is prescribed online, shipped straight to your door in a discreet package, so no in-person doctor visits, no waiting at a pharmacy. Best of all, no awkwardness, unless you're listening to this ad right now. There's some awkwardness there. It's made in the USA, and since it's prepared and shipped direct to you, it's cheaper than the pharmacy. Right now, we got the special deal for listeners. Go to BlueChew.com. Get your first shipment free when you use a special promo code Ellsworth. Pay just $5 for shipping. Again, that's BlueChew.com. BLUE Chew.com. Promo code Ellsworth. Try it free. Help make us money, and I'll keep doing these semi-entertaining ads while you're waiting for Teddy Long and any other guests we have. Now it's time for the show. We're back for another episode of the DuhCast. James Ellsworth hasn't left yet, so we're still here together. James, welcome back again to your own podcast.
Well, duh, it's the DuhCast, named after me. Duh. There was 3 duhs right there in about 10 seconds. Duh.
This is a very special podcast for me because I owe you a lot. We've had Chris Jericho on. We've had David Arquette on. We've had legends and Teddy Long, who is the guest, as you guys can see from the description on the podcast, is a guy I grew up in the South watching. I remember him reffing when you had no bottom. I think it was bottom teeth he didn't have back in the day. I remember him WCW as a manager, Doom, one man gang, the skyscrapers. Teddy Long is the second best manager to me behind Bobby the Brain Heenan, and to be able to sit down and talk to him for a few minutes is a true thrill for me.
Absolutely, man. Teddy's a good friend of mine. We met a couple of years ago when I was first starting there on SmackDown, and he, ran into him at a signing, and he came up to me and gave me some really good advice, and we hit it off. And I remember like a half hour after meeting him, he came up. I was just making him laugh. He goes, "Man, you're funny, man." I was like, "Yeah, I just try to have a good time in life, Teddy. We're not in this life very long, so I'm having a good time out here." And he really liked me saying that to him, and we just really, really hit it off. And I'm glad to have him on the DuhCast today. And yeah, it's cool that I have all these friends, man. David Arquette, Chris Jericho, Teddy Long. I mean, you haven't really brought anything to the table with the DuhCast, but maybe one day you'll do something that'll benefit this.
Hang on, I think I brought the most important guest to the table.
Your cat doesn't count as a guest.
James Ellsworth.
Well, yeah, I mean, you called me several times. You tweeted me, you Instagram DM'd me, you Facebooked me. I think you showed up and mowed my grass. Like, you did a lot to get me on this podcast, and the listeners do owe you at least something.
You barely regret it now.
Barely. We're getting to the point where I almost don't, but I still do. Anyway, moving on. What do you got for me today before we get to Teddy Long?
Let's talk a bunch of wrestling. I have a bunch of stuff that I want to check off. Let's start with, and this might be rapid fire because Teddy will be waiting on us. We don't want to keep him long. Let's start with Carmella's hair. I'll be honest, I don't like it. It just...
oh my God, you don't like anything. You know
what?
How you live with yourself.
I like Carmella a lot. I like the character. I liked her a lot when she was with you, and I like her with you more than I do R-Truth, but I love R-Truth. I just the hair color doesn't match the character. She's fabulous, and when I think of cheerleader, fabulous, number one, blonde hair comes to mind, and the change. Maybe in a month or two, if she keeps it, I'll change my mind. But for right now, I'm not sure I can sign off on it.
Well, I know this is going to come to you as a complete surprise, but I think her hair looks great. Of course I do. But here's the thing. She's going to look great no matter if she has red hair, brunette hair, green hair, blonde hair, purple hair, blue hair. It doesn't matter. Like, Carmella's Carmella, and she always looks great. But no, I think she looks cool, man. Like, it reminds me of the bad Barbie, the Cash Me Outside girl there. Like, it's kind of the same color, but she's like, Carmella's like the older sister version of that, and she looks cool, man. I'm not just saying that either because I'm a homer to Carmella, which I've talked about millions of times on this podcast. I'm always going to be a homer to her, but in all seriousness, I don't think it looks bad at all. And she, you got to evolve in wrestling. Like, you got to change. She had a really good run as SmackDown Women's Champion. I got to be a small part of that, which I always cherish those moments over the summer that I had with her while she was the champion. And, now she lost the title at SummerSlam. Now she's trying to, shake things up a bit. She changed her hair. She's doing stuff with R-Truth. Like, and I get it. You got to evolve in wrestling, and I wish her nothing but, success. And I've said that a million times on here too. But, nah, dude, going back to the hair, it looks great. She looks fine. And I don't think a lot of guys will argue with me, and except for you, of course.
Educate me on the process. As, let's say, James Ellsworth, the WWE character, wants to have a different hairdo, cut his hair. What is the process in the WWE to getting that done? Because there's marketing, video games, dolls that are already marketed to a certain image that you have to keep.
Yeah, I think you do have to ask. I'm not sure if she did or not. Don't quote me on that, but I think you do. Hey, I want to change my hair up a little bit. Is that cool? Like, I do think that is something you have to do. Obviously, when I was there, and I've been on and off there the last 2 years, I didn't change my hair or anything because James Ellsworth is cool as he is. I changed my clothes for the Carmella deal, of course. But yeah, man, I guess because you're a performer, you're an entertainer, you're on a television show. Like, you got any actor would have to ask the director, like, if, Sheldon from The Big Bang Theory wanted to shave his head, like, I don't think he would just do it on his own time and not ask this director of Big Bang Theory, Chuck Lorre, if you didn't know that piece of information. Hey, I think he would have to ask, hey, is it cool? Because I know Sheldon has this hair on the show, and can I shave? That's with any entertainment, I think you do have to ask, is my understanding of it. And don't quote me on that either, because I'm not sure, but I really do think that's how it goes.
Didn't you, between runs or during your first run and then your second one time you had a goatee and the next time you didn't, or did you shave it during a run? Just out of curiosity. It's a serious question.
Well, here's the answer to that. Vince wanted me to shave it, and I said okay. Which, I didn't mind. I think I looked good without it. I've had it since I was 18 years old, and, I'll be 34 here in a couple of months. So I've had it for a long time. So he just, hey, let's see you shave that and see what it looks like. I'm like, okay. And, half my gimmick is I don't have a chin. So if you shave the chin beard, it makes it look less like a chin. So maybe that was it. I don't know. But, yeah, he asked me to shave, and I had no problem with it whatsoever.
I come on, let's be honest. None of us would. If Vince come up and said, hey, you want to continue having a job? Why don't you chim that thing up? And I'd be like, yes, sir.
Here's the thing, man. No matter what, Vince gave me my dream, dude. He did not have to put pen to paper and sign me to a WWE deal. It doesn't matter, like, what was going on the internet or if people were behind me, whatever. He's the one, at the end of the day, that put pen to paper, and I'll always remember that and understand that, and I appreciate what he did for me and hopefully will do for me in the future.
Let's talk about Matt Hardy. We've gone a couple podcasts without really discussing his retirement, which is now official via Twitter, I believe, last week. Now, I like Matt way more than I like Jeff Hardy. I've been very vocal on this podcast how I'm not a Jeff Hardy guy. I don't see the appeal. I get it. There's thousands of people out there that like him. But Matt Hardy...
You don't like Carmella's hair. You don't like Jeff Hardy. Like, you're just...
I like Matt, though.
You're like Ehor from Woody the Pooh, man. You're just Debbie Downer, terrible person, horrible human being. Like, really should just leave the earth. Like, I don't mean like die. I mean just leave the earth. Like, go to Mars or go to Pluto or Saturn or whatever those other planets, because you just hate everything here on Earth. So try another planet, Dennis. Go somewhere else.
I feel like an Ugly Kid Joe song. That might be a little bit over your head age-wise, but. They did a song, I believe, in the early 90s called I Hate Everything About You. It's a good song. Anyways, Matt Hardy, I am sad to see him go. It's the time, look, nobody has ever beat, Father Time here. He is undefeated when it comes to him versus talent. And it's sad to see Matt go when he just really perfected a money-making character, James. What are your thoughts on Matt?
Oh, I love Matt. He's, again, a friend of mine. Everybody's pretty friendly with me. Have you noticed that? Like, I'm cool with the boys, what you got to be, man. We're all in this together. But anyway, back to Matt. I get that, it was time for him to go home, but maybe that's just for now. Is he really officially retired? Like, has anybody put that out? Like, Matt Hardy's a huge star. Like, I think it would be a little bigger if it was his official retirement. Like, maybe he's just going home right now to collect his thoughts, and I haven't talked to him about it, but, maybe that's just it, or maybe he is really retired. If he is, everyone has a bump card, man, and when your bump card is up, it's time to go. And he has a terrific family, he has an awesome wife, Rebby, who I'm friends with, and he has two boys now, Maxwell and Wolfgang, and he's got a life outside of wrestling, a beautiful life outside of wrestling that he's earned through wrestling. And if his time truly is up, and it was his call, and that's the way you hope it's going to be for you, or for me when I retire. Like, I hope it is my call personally when that day comes. And for Matt, if it is his time, he made the call, and good for him. He had a tremendous career, like one that I could only dream of, and anybody could only dream of. It was tremendous 20+ year career. Inside of like mainstream wrestling, whether it be WWE, Ring of Honor, TNA, he's been everywhere and done everything, and he's just a great performer and an all-around great guy. And hopefully, we do see him at least get a retirement match on television, one more match, and if not, hats off to him. He was one of the best.
You know, talking about the broken gimmick here and him retiring, I really feel like that is one of those characters that could still get over without ever having to wrestle again. He's built this amazing universe through Impact, TNA, and now the WWE, where I'd be happy if I just saw him every week as a manager or doing some sort of, broken universe gimmick.
Matt is very, very creative and very smart when it comes to this business. He could be a manager, he could be a producer backstage, he could be a commentator. Like, there's nothing Matt can't do, and I'm not just saying that. I really feel that way. He's a hell of a talent when it comes to any aspect of wrestling. So, right now, man, I'm hoping he's just enjoying his family and having a good time with that because, family is a beautiful thing. I have a family, as you know, 2 beautiful daughters, and it's, like you do enjoy that. And I hope he really, really is enjoying that right now and getting his thoughts together and makes the right decision on where he goes from here.
Another guy that I'm really sad to see kind of say that he's nearing the end of his career, who I am a massive fan on, is Golddust, Dustin Rhodes. He came out and said, I don't think he's retiring anytime soon, but he just kind of had said, I see the light at the end of the tunnel on my career, which, when someone says that, that means there might be about 1 foot out of the industry. And here's a guy that does not get enough credit when it comes to, ushering in the Attitude Era.
Absolutely. That Goldust character was it was an unbelievable, unique character. Like, at the time, it was groundbreaking. And, man, I couldn't take my eyes off the Goldust character when I was a teenager. I thought it was so freaking cool, man. It was so different, and, yeah, he had a heck of a run, man. He was in WWE for the last, 25 years, something like that, 23 years at least. And, he's again, another guy that if it ended today, if it truly ended today or tomorrow, he had a hell of a run. And, you put up against any other guy's runs, it's right there. And I have a lot of respect for him. He was a hell of a talent in the ring. Like, man, he's really good in the ring. And people, when they think of Goldust, they do think of the character, which is cool. But in the ring, he's one of the best and doesn't get enough credit for that, I think, personally. And if he is gone, I'm going to miss watching him perform.
Me too. And before we usher in Theodore Long, Teddy Long, however you want to remember him, I got to bring up the Brie Bella kick to Liv Morgan. I'm sure you've seen it. We all seen it. Brie is taking a lot of heat online, and I kind of don't think she should. I've seen it. I watched it. It looked like Brie might have got Liv a little bit hard, and Liv went down, and that's where the kick to the head occurred. It's an unfortunate accident where right now it just everybody is calling for Brie's head, and I get it, guys, that she's coming back, so she might not be the sharpest wrestler in the ring right now, knocking off some of that rust. But man, to blame her for this, I think that's criminal right now.
She obviously did not do it on purpose. Brie's a very, very sweet woman, and she's not going to try to hurt anyone on purpose. And like people, like any athlete has times in their career where they have a rough day or rough couple of weeks, and Brie, she didn't mean to do that, man. And I feel real bad that it happened. Feel real bad for Liv Morgan. Liv Morgan's great girl, man. I remember before she came up to the main roster, she did some Smackdown live events and house shows with us, and I got to meet her and talk to her. And she's young and she's hungry and she's full of life. Like, she's just very fun to be around, and I feel bad for her right now. And hopefully she's back quick. But yeah, man, it's wrestling. We know what we signed up for when we got into this. Despite what people may think, we're not robots. Accidents do happen. They do occur. We're not perfect, and stuff like that happens. It's unfortunate. And I know Brie probably feels awful about it. And, and I'm sure Liv Morgan understands that. And hopefully she'll be back quicker. Sooner than later is what I'm trying to say.
Have you ever been injured in the ring?
Oh man, I've been wrestling 16 years. I've got my teeth knocked out. I've broken both of my 2 hands, not at the same time. So, I'd still had a fighting chance. But yeah, broken both hands. I've had some stitches. I haven't had anything that kept me out of the ring, even when I broke both my hands, which wasn't at the same time. They were both at different times. I wore a cast and still wrestled on the independents. This is like 10 plus years ago. But man, knock on wood, nothing too severe. I've been very lucky. And luckily I haven't, knock on wood again, I haven't hurt anybody. I try to be as safe as possible. But man, I get it when people do get hurt. Accidents do happen. Nobody means to do it. It just happens, and it sucks. And it sucks that she's catching a lot of heat and that heat she's catching. Here's the thing, man, and I'm going to go on a little bit of a rant here. The heat she's catching is by people who've never ever stepped foot in a ring and don't understand it and don't get it. If they got in the ring, they would probably, injure themselves within the first 30 seconds of doing something. Like, get off her back. Like, she's, a professional. She's very good at her craft. She made it there. She's at the top, of the industry. And, because she made a mistake or whatever, like, you're going to jump on her. Like, I don't go to your work, and if you mess something up at your work, oh, man, you didn't, mow that lawn correctly. You cut the grass too much. Now that the grass has a bald spot, or just whatever, man. Like, come on now. Like, it'll happen. And like, again, the heat she's getting from people who've never done it before, but people who have done it before. Like, I think Bully Ray had the best tweet today. Bubba Ray, saying he had all of his injuries, and he said most of it was because of people he was working with, and he said that wasn't a knock on the people. Accidents do happen, and that's just the way it is. We risk our lives and our livelihood each and every time we get in that ring, and we know that going in, and that's just part of the job, and that's part of the gig what we were signing up for, and we get that. And I feel bad that she's taking a lot of slack, because I know she's a good person, but she's strong enough to get through it, and she's going to be just fine. And Liv Morgan, I can't wait to see her back in action, because she's just a very young girl full of life, and so happy for her opportunity. And she's really she gets better every week she performs, Liv Morgan, in my humble opinion, and I can't wait to see her back in action.
All right, listen, James, are you ready to welcome on Theodore Long?
Holla, 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 playa. You see how cool I did that? I'm so cool, man. Like, you couldn't do that as cool. Don't even try. Please don't try.
No, I won't. All right, James, we tease this all podcast long. Here we go. I'm geeked out. I grew up with Theodore Long in my life in Atlanta, Georgia, watching WCW, NWA. I'm geeked out. I'm more geeked out than when we interviewed Chris Jericho to talk to Theodore Long.
Yep, Teddy Long's a buddy of mine. I'm glad to have him on.
Teddy, thank you so much for joining us.
Hey, thank you guys very much for having me. And I just want to stress one thing. There are a lot of people that call me and contact me about doing podcasts, and I don't do them. But the only reason I'm doing this one is because James is a great friend of mine, and whatever I can do to try to help him to succeed and make it, and I'm willing to do that. But this is just because James is a good friend of mine, and that's the only reason why I'm doing this.
Yeah, now that we got that out of the way, first of all, I'd love to jump in and hit you with the first question, because I've always wondered, there seems to be a period in your wrestling career after WCW around 1996, before WWF about 1998, that you just kind of wasn't around. It was before. I was not a dirt sheet guy, so I didn't really know. And one of the questions I've always wanted to ask you is, what did you do in that period of time between WCW and WWF?
Well, in 1998, when I went to work for WWF at the time it was WWF, I left WCW 1997, and what I did, I was doing a lot of community work. I was working with Mayor Bill Campbell, who was the mayor of Atlanta at that time. So I was doing a lot of community work. I was doing a lot of stuff with kids and stuff. A lot of kids that were on the bad road. We were trying to help people get them on the right track and to get them back in school if they were not in school, and to try and get them doing some positive stuff and to try to make some and be successful with their lives. So I kind of devoted my time to a lot of the kids and community work. And then in 1998, I got the call from Vince, and then I went to work for WWF.
Cool, man. Teddy, I appreciate the nice words you just said there to open up the your interview here on the DuhCast. That's what we call the James Ellsworth and Dennis Farrell podcast. But yeah, Teddy, my first memories of you, and it's cool now because we are friends, like you mentioned a couple of minutes ago. It's very cool for me to be friends with a guy like you that I grew up watching. And my first memories of you were with Doom. And like my first question, man, because I have to know like how it felt for you when Ron Simmons. I was a very young kid in Baltimore, in the crowd, in the Baltimore arena when Ron Simmons defeated Vader for the WCW World Championship and became the first African-American world champion. Like, how did that feel for you? You were with the company at the time. I know you're good friends with Ron. What was your feeling when that happened, when that transpired?
Well, it was a great feeling for me. I think I was more excited about it than Ron was, because that's something, that back in the day that, we had strived to do, is try to, move up in the wrestling business and especially becoming, a champion. And I had the opportunity, to share the stage with Ron and Butch Reed and we became the first Afro-American World Tag Team Champions. So when Ron had the chance to accomplish that, it was, what a great night that was and what a great feeling it was. And I was just happy to see, Ron being successful and, happy to see that happen.
Yeah, I'm glad that we moved into the subject because you being the first African-American general manager of SmackDown, what do you think, if you look through the landscape of wrestling right now and Ring of Honor and there might be another smaller organization with an African-American champion, what would you attribute to the lack of African-American champions and how would you motivate the African-American culture to be more into wrestling and try to strive to be, champions?
Well, I think that, that there are a lot of Afro-American wrestlers right now that are into wrestling and that I think that are, capable of becoming, the world champion. But, I don't want to base it on just being so much as being Afro-American this and Afro-American that, because the wrestling business is really not based on that. And I think when they put the belt on Ron for him being an Afro-American, they also put the belt on it because they felt that he could draw money. Because that's what it's really all about. When they put the belt on anybody, white, black, red, green, whatever it is, your job is to draw money. And so I think not only did they see that Ron could draw money, but he was also going to be, a person that the people liked, that the fans liked, and he was going to be a great champion. So I think right now in our business, there are some, guys out there, that are capable of, getting in that spot. It's kind of left up to them. When you work for a guy like Vince McMahon, he's strictly business. He don't play. So it's kind of like a football team, he'll give you the ball and your thing is you got to score. So if you keep fumbling the ball, then what they do in football, they take you out of the game and put you on the bench. So that's what happens in professional wrestling. You keep fumbling, then you get kicked out of the game. So I don't think it's so much as, the black man got to strive to be the best at this and the best at that. I think it just has to be somebody that's, got a great look, great ring general, know his way around in that ring, and especially somebody that's going to make the company money. And it ain't just about making the company money. It's like this, I remember Vince McMahon, we had a meeting one day, and he said to us, how can you go to the bank and take money out when you haven't put none in there? So that's the thing the guys got to think about, too, whether he's black, white, or green. I got to draw some money so I can be able to justify this paycheck I'm getting every week.
Absolutely. Teddy, yeah, you're more to the WWE fans, you're more known as being the general manager of SmackDown, as a SmackDown character, much like myself. I think right now, in WWE, I'm remembered for being a SmackDown character as well. The SmackDown 1000 is coming up in a couple of weeks. You haven't been announced yet, but I'm sure, you can't have a SmackDown special show without Teddy Long. I'm hoping you'll be a part of it. Heck, I hope I'd be a part of it. It'd be cool seeing you there. With 1000 coming up, I'm sure you have a lot of favorite SmackDown moments, but any that stick out in your head that you always think about and go, man, that was a great moment for Teddy Long?
Well, yeah, there's several that stick out in my head. The first one was the night that I became the general manager of SmackDown, which I didn't know. And they didn't tell me anything about it until I got ready to walk to the ring. So I was 1 minute in, and I found out of this. Now I'm thinking about this big accomplishment that I've just got handed to me, and now I've got to, I got to make sure I make this work. So I remember that. Also, the great times that I had with Vicky Guerrero, the things that her and I did, were real great moments. And also the biggest one was with me and The Undertaker when The Undertaker kidnapped me. I thought that was great, and I had a great time doing that. And like I said, everything that I did, I really enjoyed it. And there were, all the moments stood out to me because I made it work.
So, talking about you being a general manager on SmackDown, and look, I'll be the first one to admit, I'm a fan. You heard at the top of the show, I'm a huge fan of yours. From a fan aspect, you were playing a general manager character. Do you, behind the scenes, have any extra responsibilities when it comes to the show as a general manager that maybe us, the fans, may not know about?
Well, I guess maybe with me it might have been a little different. I think with everyone else, basically, they're writers, we're people that write the scripts. And basically you get out and you go on TV and you do exactly, what the writers, have given you to do. With me, I was able to also get my script from the writers, but I was able to kind of add my own persona there. I was able to be myself. And I think that's what really had me more relaxed and more comfortable because I was able to be me. And I might have told this story one time, but I remember the first time I went to WWE and they started me a manager, and they came to me and they told me they wanted me to be like Don King. So, I never did really get that. So I just went out there and just started being Teddy Long. And that's what I think was able, I was able to really, for people to like me, and I was able to get over it like I did because I was able to be myself. But basically, when you walk out on that TV, you're going out on there and you're doing exactly what the writers have told you. But I was able to add a little stuff to my promos, like the word player and different things that I said, thugging and bugging. Vince was, he knew that he could trust me and I wasn't going to go out on his TV and say something that wouldn't be right. So being me able to add stuff to my character was, I don't consider myself as a character because if you meet me today on the street, and James will tell you this, I'm gonna call you player. I'm just like you see me on TV.
Absolutely, and I have a lot of fun being friends with Teddy Long and seeing him in various independent shows. Saw him WrestleMania week last year in the hotel, and we talked a lot. And I really, really am humbled and just respect like how you've taken to me and how we became friends. My last question for you, and I'll let Dennis ask one more because Dennis is the type that will talk all night long, but we're not going to let him do that. But my last question for you, this is more for the fans, like. Paige, she's the current general manager of SmackDown right now. I had a lot of fun moments on TV with her about 2 months ago over the summer. Unfortunately, her career in the ring ended due to injury, and now they've given her the role of SmackDown general manager. I'm not sure how much you keep up on the product, Teddy, but if you've seen Paige on there, and I think Paige is outstanding myself. How do you think she's doing in that role as general manager on SmackDown?
I think she's doing a great job. I've got a lot of respect for her. I thought she did real well in the ring when she was, was a competitor. Just a shame, her career had to end like that, you know what I mean? But the good part about it, she was able to step out of one job and go into another job. And so with her being, the general manager of SmackDown, I've watched her. I think she's doing a great job, and I wish her a whole lot of success.
Looking back through your career, you have been popular through the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s, and even now. You were, very popular in a time when wrestlers now are tragically starting to die off, have been very bad with their money, and it's a sad story. But looking at you, I've never heard anything negative about you. Everything I see, you have done very well for yourself. How did you break out of that cycle, and what would you tell wrestlers today on what to do to stay out of those kind of troubles?
Well, I tell you, you have to pay attention. Watch your surroundings. And what I did, coming up in my time and era, I had a lot of chance to see guys that did drugs. I had a chance to see a lot of guys that misused their money. So I said to myself, that's one thing right there that I would never let happen to me. I would never get hooked on pills and get in a condition where I'll have to go to rehab and all this stuff. And I made sure that, now I understand. Jim Ross used to always come by and always say something to me all the time, save your money, kid. And I never did take that to heart until as the years went on, I started remembering that. Yeah, I got it now, save your money, because you can have a job in this business today, and tomorrow you won't have a job. So you got to be ready for whatever happens. So I would tell guys right now is, like I said, that favorite saying, save your money. Pay attention, you know what I mean? Don't get caught up in the drug, cycle, stay off of that, and just stay positive and just do the right thing about yourself. Stay in the gym, train, keep yourself healthy, stay in good shape, and just do the right thing with your money, man. Because like I said, I've walked in the ring with guys that walked in the ring, and then when they got ready to leave, they were stretched out. And mentioned that with Darren Drosdale. A lot of people may not remember that, but I was right in the ring when he became paralyzed. He walked into that ring that night, and when he looked up, he was coming out. They were stretching him out, and he's never been able to walk since. So, you never know when something can happen to you. That fatal accident could be at any time. So you just got to be, you got to be ready for it.
James, let me say one more thing. Theodore Long might be the only person to have managed me, Mark Callis, and get kidnapped by The Undertaker.
That's a great fact.
That's very good. That's good. You never know. It's a small world. You never know what may happen.
What, James?
I mean, I've been doing this podcast with Dennis for about 4 or 5 months now, Teddy. That's the first time he's ever said anything clever or funny, and I'm so proud of him.
Well, I'm glad I could bring it out of him.
Well, Teddy, it's been outstanding talking to you. I know you'll be in Baltimore this week. I told you earlier I'll be at a show an hour away, so I'm hoping to get done that show early and hopefully meet you for dinner after you get done with your show and catch up with you. And then thank you for doing our podcast.
Yeah, let me mention that too. Let everybody know I'll be with Maryland Championship Wrestling. I believe that's what it is. And it's in Joplin, Maryland, so I'm going to be there Saturday night for a big thing they call Tag Wars. And so when it's Tag Wars, it's going to be some tag team matches being made, player.
That's right. And Teddy, I'm hoping to see you after that show's over with. And thanks again for doing this, man. And it's always been a pleasure talking to you. You've always been there for me since I made it to WWE, and I really, really, really appreciate that from the bottom of my heart.
All right, no problem, man. Thank you very much, man, and thank you guys for having me, and I wish you guys much success with the podcast.